Hello, my name is Dr. Tim Evans at the MU College of Veterinary Medicine. I'm also the MU Extension State Specialist in Veterinary Toxicology as well as animal health. And today's topic is going to be nitrite intoxication concerns during drought conditions. I've done a previous video which is going to be an overview of current drought conditions, what producers can do, how veterinarians can help producers during drought conditions, and a summary of nitrate intoxication, prussic acid, hydrocyanic acid, that's cyanide intoxication, and a number of neurotoxic and cardiotoxic plants that can contaminate pastures and also can be toxic when incorporated into hay. But this particular presentation is going to focus on nitrite. So again, I always try this explanation when I'm talking about conditions that can cause cattle death. I'm actually a fairly optimistic, half full kind of guy, but my job is not. It's always 25 dead cows. No one calls me on the phone and says, "Hey, how are you doing? The cows look good." No, there's 25 dead cows. And 25 comes up a lot in this particular lecture. It seems like it always takes at least 25 dead cows for producers to call me. 25% of the parts per million of nitrate that are measured in a forage quantitatively is going to be what the results will be reported as for nitrate nitrogen. And we'll go into a little bit greater detail in that. And 2,500 parts per million dietary nitrate is considered ideal, especially for pregnant cattle. That may be difficult to achieve under drought conditions, but that's at least what we're trying to target. So, nitrate toxicity. We get high nitrate in forages. Forages, particularly when drought stressed, accumulate nitrate. Nitrate, when consumed by a ruminant, which obviously has a rumen, nitrate goes to nitrite. In better situations, in ideal situations, the nitrite can be converted to ammonia, which can then be incorporated into protein in the microorganisms. But if we, under a set of circumstances, have excess nitrite generated in the rumen, that nitrite will go to hemoglobin and it will go to the ferrous iron, 2 pluses, in hemoglobin and make it ferric iron, 3 pluses, which is methemoglobinemia. Methemoglobin doesn't bind to oxygen. So that's obviously a bad situation. There's lots and lots of plants that can potentially accumulate nitrate. Lamb's quarter, various millets, pearl millet, common or proso millet, corn, particularly in the stalks. That's usually where we find nitrate. So corn, ZMAs, fall fescue, wheat, oats can all accumulate nitrate primarily in the stemmy portions of the plant. Now, nitrate accumulating weeds. Wow, this is quite a list. But amaranthus, pigweed, brassica species, which are mustards, lamb's quarter, chenopodium, and certainly sorghum halopense, which is Johnson grass, can accumulate nitrate. And then in addition, we'll talk about in another presentation how immature Johnson grass, sorghum halopense, and other sorghums can accumulate cyanogenic glycosides, cyanide-producing compounds in their leaves. There are nitrate accumulating crops. We already talked about oats. We talked about barley. There's alfalfa. It also concentrates it in the leaves, pearl millet, and then certainly sorghum sedan forage, wheat, and then corn. So the clinical signs of nitrate intoxication. Well, with methemoglobinemia, we can see chocolate brown mucous membranes. And we can see on the left side of this slide from nice pink mucous membranes in the vulva, where we increase the amount of nitrate in the diet, we start to see the mucous membranes turn to a chocolate brown color. So nitrate intoxication, we see methemoglobinemia, but we can also see sudden death, abortion, premature birth, and there's also subacute subchronic effects that are also possible from having systemic hypoxia or no oxygen for an extended period, weeks to possibly even months. All right. There is a treatment for nitrite intoxication. It's methylene blue. And again, there are regulatory considerations to consider. It's very effective in taking care of methemoglobinemia. However, it has a 180-day, 6-month withdrawal. Certainly it can be given by veterinarians, generally only to beef cattle. Dairy cattle you're not going to have a situation where most dairy cattle are going to be out of production for 180 days, 6 months. And it's very important to follow those recommendations. Okay, when we talk about the situation of when we have good years, when forage is readily available and we're trying to prevent nitrite intoxication, obviously we're going to avoid excessive fertilizer, okay? And again, here's a publication from MU Extension, Integrated Pest Management, Best Management Practices for Nitrogen Fertilizer in Missouri. We also have a qualitative spot test that can check for nitrate in suspect forages. You basically take the diphenylamine, you put it on the plant, or you squeeze out the juice, it turns dark blue. That means that you have at least 1,000 parts per million of nitrate in the plant. However, usually when we see potential death from nitrate intoxication, the concentration is at least 10,000 parts per million. So during drought conditions, we expect oftentimes to see a lot of the sorghum and corn and other varieties in the stalks to turn bright blue, but we don't necessarily get to a toxic concentration. All right, now in the situation of the current drought condition, we look at what do we want our dietary nitrate concentration to be? What do we try to achieve? Now, I want to point out that as I talked earlier, nitrate parts per million, 0 to 2,500 parts per million, 0 to 2,500 parts per million is considered ideal during pregnancy, especially during the last trimester or P3. That is equivalent, again, approximately 25%, to 0 to 550 parts per million of nitrate nitrogen. So it's important you know what the laboratory that you sent the sample to, what they're reporting at. I generally like to look at things in terms of nitrate. If you get something in nitrate nitrogen, you need to multiply it by 4, okay? It may be difficult to find low nitrate forages during the drought. Pregnant cows, especially during P3, the last trimester, should take precedence. 2,500 to 5,000 parts per million, it's equal to 550 to 1,100 parts per million nitrate nitrogen, are in the caution range. We try to maintain dietary nitrate concentrations less than 4,000 parts per million in pregnant animals, especially during the last trimester. Reducing the risks of dietary nitrate in the caution range, producer consultation with extension personnel and their veterinarian. Supplementation with soluble carbohydrates such as mixed grains. Gradual introduction of fed cattle to new forages pastures. Supervision of cattle when dietary nitrate concentration is greater than 5,000 parts per million. Now we get in the danger range, 5,000 to 15,000 parts per million nitrate. That's 1,100 to 3,400 parts per million nitrate nitrogen. Danger, okay? Potential reproductive problems reported at this range. Some anecdotal reports of cattle mortality at greater than 10,000 parts per million. Reducing those risks, same as above for the caution range, possibly more supervision. If possible, dietary nitrate less than or equal to 5,000 parts per million to pregnant animals. We'd certainly like to even less than that. If possible, avoid dietary nitrate greater than or equal to 10,000 parts per million to any animals. Possible exception, if there's a brassica species, their cover crops are being grazed, quantitative nitrate is reported on a dry matter basis, so you may get a very high concentration, but actually the animal is eating something that's about 90% moisture, and so nitrite is released less quickly with those particular brassica species of cover crops. They also have increased sulfur in them that may also interfere with the production of nitrite. So again, that's something to discuss with extension personnel and your veterinarian. More than 15,000 parts per million of nitrate, that's more than 3,400 parts per million nitrate nitrogen, toxic, potentially lethal to animals, susceptible to nitrate intoxication. It's not suitable for feeding. So quantitative nitrate results critical for dietary management during drought. You want a concentration rather than just the spot test. Nutritional analysis can also provide additional critical information for diet formulation. Diets greater than or equal to the caution range for dietary nitrate must be supplemented with grain. And again, we have several websites here, at least 2 websites you can go to for additional information. Okay, when we have the current drought situations and we want to look at nitrate intoxication prevention, it's critical to ensile high nitrate forages to decrease nitrate concentrations. Optimally, 60 days of ensiling to get a third to a half reduction in the nitrate. The current lack of forage may also necessitate feeding green chopped corn or other crops. So we cut and feed the green chopped corn or other forages as you go. Green chop from drought stress corn could be cut and should be cut and fed 2 to 3 times daily. Do not leave green chop in piles or in a wagon overnight. The nitrate can be readily converted to extremely toxic nitrite in accumulated green chop. If possible, test quantitative nitrate nutritional quality before feeding and increase gradually. I hope this video gives you some helpful information to manage current drought conditions and especially the potential for nitrate intoxication.